Hello. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to the 3-minute thesis. Or I should say, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the WVU 3-minute thesis competition. My name is Danielle Michael-Jeske. I am a third-year PhD student in Dr. Matt Cassen's lab in plant and soil sciences. And then my co-host.
My name is Sindupa De Silva, and I'm a PhD candidate in the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries.
So before we begin, I'd like to give you a brief history on this competition and its importance. The 3-minute thesis, also known as the 3MT, is an academic research communication competition developed by the University of Queensland, Australia, for graduate research students. This competition challenges graduate students to present their research topic and its significance in 3 minutes and using just one slide. The 3MT competition develops academic, presentation, and research communication skills, as well as supports the development of graduate students' capacity to succinctly communicate their research to a non-specialist audience. If you would like more information about the 3MT International Organization, you can visit its website at 3minutethesis.org.
It is my pleasure to introduce you all to tonight's final judges. We have Dr. Ming Lei, who is the Senior Associate Vice President from the Office of Research and Graduate Education and the Vice Dean of Research at the School of Medicine. We also have, I apologize if you could hold your applause until the end. I should have started with that. We also have Rachel Morris, a PhD student in the biology department from the Eberly College of Arts and Sciences. Dr. Michaela Myers, thank you, who is the Associate Dean of Artistic and Scholarly Achievement at the College of Creative Arts. And then Patricia Slagle, who is the Assistant Director of Advising and Student Operations at the graduate programs John Chambers College of Business and Economics. And finally, Dr. Daniel Totske, who is the Assistant Professor, Communication Studies, Eberly College of Arts and Sciences. Please welcome them with a round of applause. All right, so I will describe the rules of this competition to you. As the name suggests, 3-minute thesis, which means our competitors only have 3 minutes to present their research. They cannot use any animations, a singular static slide, and purely verbal and nonverbal body communications, no props or objects of any sort. If the competitors speak more than 3 minutes, they will be disqualified. So please pay attention to the time, which I am not sure where the clock will be placed. I think it'll be up front. Oh, I see it over there. So please pay attention to the time, and we wish you the very best. But everyone, you've met our judges and are familiar with the rules. You will get the gist of it once we get the competition going. But now the real games begin, and it is time to view our presentations for the evening.
Our first speaker is Veshka Suresh. She comes from the beautiful state of Kerala in India. She loves to dance. She is an Indian classical dancer. She loves sipping chai with friends when she is stressed. She is in the Industrial and Management Systems Engineering program at the Benjamin M. Statler College of Engineering and Mineral Resources. And her research title is Exploring the Challenges of Handling Mass Fatalities During the COVID-19 Pandemic. And she is under the advisement of Dr. Ashish Nimbarte. So you can come up.
Do you remember what it was like when the COVID-19 pandemic hit the world? Healthcare workers are among the first responders when an emergency strikes, and they are crucial to ensuring the health and safety of our nation. The healthcare worker turnover rates were high even before the pandemic began. From 2020 to 2021, these rates went up by almost 9%, and they were severely understaffed. The healthcare industry ranks among the top 10 most riskiest industries in the US. The injuries and illnesses that they suffer from cost billions of dollars every year. While the mental and physical health effects of patient handling have been researched extensively, there is not a lot of research out there that looks into the effects and interventions for handling the deceased. My research explores the challenges and risks that healthcare workers face while managing mass fatalities during the COVID-19 pandemic. There are two parts to my research. The first is a survey-based study, and the second is a lab-based experiment. 206 healthcare workers from all around the US participated in my survey study, and the results were deeply moving. Managing mass fatalities and living isolated and away from their loved ones affected them mentally and emotionally. The most important finding was that the physical overexertion that nurses experience while manually lifting and moving these bodies led to a lot of injuries. Body bags play a crucial role in handling bodies. The body bag design affects the way that nurses move while performing these postmortem care tasks. These results led to the development of my second study, which is a biomechanical study aimed at understanding how does the body bag design affect the movement patterns and risk of injury. As an engineering major, I'm interested in learning how to redesign these body bags to make handling easier for nurses. I placed motion sensors on my participants to help identify which body joints were being affected the most. We learned that the shoulders and the lower back were the ones that were most affected by the design of the body bag. We hope that our results will be adopted by body bag manufacturers as design recommendations. Healthcare workers are in desperate need of body bags to perform their everyday duties as well as manage mass fatality emergencies. It is our hope that by redesigning these body bags, we will decrease the chance of injuries, improve worker satisfaction, and create a safer and healthier work environment for our healthcare workers. Thank you.
Judges, are we ready for our next competitor? Okay. It's my pleasure to introduce Haidar Aldak, who will be presenting their research using statistical and machine learning methods to address environmental challenges. Haidar is a master's student in the environmental health program from WVU in the program of civil engineering at the Benjamin Sattler College of Engineering and Mineral Resources. Haidar is a father of 3 children aged 9, 7, and 5, who are his greatest joys and fulfillments in life. Haidar aspires to address the escalating environmental challenges in his home country, Iraq. And Haidar's advisor is Dr. Kevin Orner. Please welcome Haidar.
Have you ever thought about where organic waste, such as food waste, goes into? Large amount of food waste go into landfills, leading to air, land, and water pollution. The United Nations has set 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDG, to help us live in a clean and safe environment. The pollution that comes from organic waste was included in several of these goals, such as SDG 6, clean water and sanitation, and SDG 14, life below water. As of today, we are not meeting these goals. And that's why we all, as humans, have to work hard in achieving these goals and contribute to making the world a better dwelling place for us and the future generations. Do you know that many treatment technologies, like energy recovery and nutrient recovery, can convert organic waste to energy and fertilizer? Combining these technologies can reduce the release of nutrients into surface water bodies and mitigate surface water pollution. The integration of these technologies not only addresses the environmental concerns, but also offers economic and agricultural benefits. The recovered nutrient can be utilized as fertilizers, improving soil fertility and reducing the dependence on chemical fertilizers. My research aims to predict the efficiency of the integrated system using statistical and machine learning methods, since the conventional methods, such as lab tests, can be time-consuming and costly. I reviewed literature over the last 2 decades that is related to the integrated system. Then I modeled these data to predict their efficiency. The result of my study indicated that using the machine learning methods provides an excellent opportunity to optimize the system process and improve its accuracy and efficiency. Finally, we believe that the impact of the optimization of different parameters controlled by the system could help the industries to achieve several of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Hopefully, in the future, we will live in a better environment, breathe cleaner air, and have cleaner water to drink. Thank you.
It is my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Kinsey Reed, who is advised by Dr. Ember Moresi. She is in the Plant and Soil Sciences Department at the Davis College of Agricultural, Natural Resources, and Design. She has been knighted by the Governor Earl Ray Tomblin as a Knight of the Golden Horseshoe. She can juggle, sort of, and she has a 16-year-old, 18-pound orange cat named Taffy Popcorn that she got when she was 10. Her research title is Plant Diversity for Livestock Sustainability. Please help me welcome her to the stage.
Imagine a perfect farm with cows grazing happily in the green fields. What sorts of plants did you see in your fantasy pasture? Grass? Even in our fantasies, pastures aren't very biodiverse. Unfortunately, they aren't diverse. So why is that unfortunate? Earth's population is expected to reach 10 billion people by 2050. It's estimated we'll need to increase food production by 70% and mitigate climate emissions. That is a tall order. Now, how much could increasing the number of species in a pasture really change? If done right, previous research has shown that you can triple plant productivity and store over 20% more carbon dioxide from the air into the soil. Now, from the air into the soil. When there's higher plant diversity, there are more soil microbes. And as those microbes die, their carbon gets stuck within the soil. Plant production typically increases with diversity as more diverse communities are more stable to negative stresses, like drought. The only problem is that most pastures and grasslands are grazed by wild animals or livestock, yet no plant diversity experiments have been done with grazing. Centuries of research have shown that grazing animals can either destroy or regenerate land depending on how they're managed. If you leave a group of animals in the same area for too long, they will destroy the soil. But if you move those animals at appropriate times, you can actually store more carbon and improve the land. I hypothesize that not only will the benefits of plant diversity translate to responsibly grazed systems, I predict that we will see even higher soil carbon storage when land is grazed optimally. So I wanted to work with local farmers to test those predictions. In the spring of 2022, I seeded 18 diverse experimental pastures all over West Virginia. Those pastures are grazed multiple times a year, and we take soil and plant samples annually. In the lab, we test those samples for soil carbon and other nutrients, as well as soil microbes. Preliminary results have shown that we have already increased soil carbon by over 28% on average. These results, combined with past research, leave me hopeful that we have found a winning combination. By diversifying our pastures and grazing them optimally, I believe that we can sequester more carbon, improve soil health, and secure food security. Thank you.
It is my pleasure to introduce our next competitor, Dennis Ruto. Dennis's middle name, Sigay, means the lucky one, and also has a crazy obsession with the number 3. Dennis's collegiate studies have spanned over 4 different continents. And today, Dennis's presentation will be on the sustainable nutrient management opportunities for small communities with wastewater lagoons. Dennis is from the program of Environmental Engineering at the Benjamin M. Statler College of Engineering and Mineral Resources, and the advisor is Dr. Kevin Orner. Please welcome Dennis.
Allow me to introduce you to one of engineering's best kept secrets, wastewater lagoons. These are engineered ponds that are designed to utilize natural processes to remove contaminants from our wastewater and ensure that it's clean enough to be discharged into our rivers and lakes. They are cheap to construct, simple to operate, but most importantly, they are very effective in cleaning our wastewater. It's no wonder many small communities across the US, those with less than 10,000 inhabitants, rely on lagoons, making them indispensable in providing sanitation, safeguarding public health, and protecting the environment. However, a 2022 study by the EPA found that nearly 2/3 of lagoons were out of compliance, meaning they were not doing a good job in removing key contaminants, particularly nitrogen and phosphorus. You see, nitrogen and phosphorus are good when they're in the soil. Our plants need them to grow. But if they get into our water, it could be quite harmful, both to humans and aquatic life. And our wastewater has lots. So for lagoons to be in compliance, they need to be retrofitted with specialized technologies to ensure complete removal of these nutrients. But for communities to make well-informed decisions on which technologies to adopt, they crucially need access to comprehensive technical, economic, and environmental data on available nutrient removal technologies that can be applied in lagoons, and this is lacking. To address this gap in knowledge, first we mapped lagoons across the US and identified 4,668, which we then characterized based on the infrastructural setup. We also reviewed literature from academia and industry and put together a compilation of nutrient removal technologies that can be applied in lagoons, including information on their installation requirements and their technical performance. After that, we selected 8 case study lagoons from various climate regions in the US, each using technologies similar to the ones we identified to evaluate the environmental, economic, and social implications of adopting those technologies. Now, this assessment is currently ongoing, but once complete, we'll use the findings to develop a multi-criteria decision support tool that combines these 3 critical considerations. This comprehensive information toolbox will then be disseminated to community stakeholders to help them effectively navigate the diverse range of nutrient removal technologies and select ones that not only meet their contextual needs, but are also economically viable, environmentally safe, and socially acceptable. Thank you.
Our next contestant is Kayla Steinberg, under the advisement of Dr. Tim Ebank in the program of Immunology School of Medicine. They played basketball in Australia and have published poetry. They married their high school sweetheart and has a PhD in physics and has a 2-year-old daughter. Her research title is Hypoxia Regulates Vessel Modifying Macrophages and Vice Versa in Tumors. Please help me welcome her to the stage.
Take a deep breath. Oxygen. It's necessary for our growth and survival. And believe it or not, tumors need it too. Just like us, tumors require oxygen to thrive. But here's the twist. Tumors grow at an astonishing rate, so fast that oxygen can't keep up. This leads to a critical situation in which the tumor becomes hypoxic. Essentially, it's starved of oxygen. To overcome the oxygen crisis, the tumor sends out SOS signals, secreted factors that act like emergency flares, to trigger the growth of new blood vessels from existing ones. The goal? To restore the supply of blood carrying life-sustaining oxygen to the tumor. Unfortunately, these new blood vessels are leaky pipelines, failing to reach every nook and cranny of the tumor. This results in even lower levels of oxygen, creating a volatile environment that shields the tumor from our immune system and keeps therapies from reaching their targets. Now let's dive into the players. One particular culprit in the oxygen saga is the immune cell called the macrophage. These cells are increased in cancer patients and are recruited to the tumor to act like builders of the tumor blood vessels. My research focuses on how hypoxia, the low oxygen conditions, influences the role of macrophages in building tumor blood vessels, and conversely, how these vessels impact hypoxia. We honed in on hypoxia-inducible factors, or HIFs. Previous studies identified two types of HIFs in macrophages, HIF1 and HIF2. They act as oxygen sensors. They can tell when oxygen is low, and they instruct macrophages how to build blood vessels. We used to believe HIF1 and HIF2 in macrophages had similar functions, but they led to the increase of blood vessels and thus increased oxygen in tumors. Our aim was to see if this held true, but our findings challenged these previous beliefs. We found that even though HIF1 in macrophages drives the creation of more blood vessels, that these vessels are leaky, resulting in lower oxygen concentrations and resistance to chemotherapy. On the other hand, HIF2 in macrophages is like a superhero, restoring order to the chaotic blood vessels in tumors, rescuing oxygen concentrations. And most importantly, these tumors now respond to treatment. It's not just a scientific revelation, it's a potential game changer. Imagine a world where we can target oxygen sensors in our immune cells to make tumors more susceptible to treatment. It's not just hope, it's a step towards a brighter, more oxygen-filled future in the fight against cancer.
It is my pleasure to introduce our next competitor, Brian Leonard. Brian has a 4-year-old son, and his favorite TV show is The Wire. Brian also recently found out that he sings the Happy Birthday song wrong, which I would like to find out later more about. Brian's program is the Chemical Engineering program at the Benjamin Sattler College of Engineering and Mineral Resources, and their research title is Sustainable Solutions for Water Treatment. Brian works with the advisor, Dr. Oishi Sanyal. I apologize. Please welcome Brian.
All right, so thank you, everyone. Whose favorite drink is water? Wow, I actually didn't expect anybody to raise their hands for this. It totally throws off what I'm about to talk about now. But since everybody really likes to drink water here, we can go directly into it. And I'm going to be discussing today what sustainable solutions for water treatment are all about and why they're so important to everybody here. And they are so important, even if you don't drink water, even if you would prefer something else. They are important because, as you can see here, is just a list of some of the sources that leach toxins and contaminants into our groundwater. And so regardless of whether you live in an agricultural area, mining, industrial, your local neighborhood, or urban area, those toxins seep into our ground soil and they leach into our groundwater, which is where all of our drinking water comes from. So now that we've identified the path that these toxins and contaminants take to get into our groundwater, how are we going to get those out? One of the ways that we're going to do this, or the way that I'm going to talk about doing this, is we're going to use a membrane. And we're going to use a 3D printer to fabricate that membrane. And we're going to do that because using the 3D printer allows us to use 66% less starting materials than typical fabrication techniques. And that's important because we wanted to simplify this membrane fabrication process. So we only use two things to make this membrane out of. One is a polymer, which is just a plastic. And the second one is a solvent or a chemical that dissolves that plastic. And that's it. I mean, also the 3D printer makes three, but that's still a pretty easy process to create a membrane for step one. And that takes us to step two over here, where we use a simple pressure differential, which is just a high pressure area, that semi-permeable membrane we just created, and a low pressure area with our safe, clean drinking water. And that takes us directly into step three, where we get to enjoy that clean drinking water. And that's it. It's all we have to do to have a two-step process to get us to our third step to enjoy safe, clean drinking water. But if you like step two so much because of how easy it is, you're really going to like this. And using a membrane allows us to do this separation process using 10 times less utility cost than traditional separation techniques. And what I mean by that is we use 10 times less electricity values for this separation here. And now that I've gone through and talked about current separations and current toxins, what about future ones like PFOA or Teflon that DuPont developed? Well, for those of you that were reading your WVU News article today, this is actually the technology that they were talking about. This technology right here, right now in my lab, is capable of separating out PFOAs and degrading those PFOAs so they are hopefully in the future will no longer be considered a forever chemical. So I wish to say thank you to everyone and happy safe drinking.
Allow me to please introduce our next competitor, Kushal Naraki, under the advisement of Dr. Park Young Lak in the Plant and Soil Sciences, Davis College of Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Design. They hail from the land of Mount Everest, Nepal, loves watching movies, traveling, and flying drones, and is the winner of the Hidden Eco Hero Award, an international advisory board member for Innovation Lab for Horticulture. Their research title is Early Detection of Invasive Spotted Lanternfly in West Virginia. Please give me a hand in welcoming him.
Imagine waking up one morning to find a garden filled with tiny and voracious invasive pests, leaving behind a trail of devastation of your fruits and vegetables. This can be a reality faced by many West Virginians due to the invasion of spotted lanternfly if timely action is not taken. Spotted lanternfly can damage up to 90% of your crop yield, and has the potential to cause the economic loss of more than $300 million in the state per year. Spotted lanternfly is an invasive pest which has already been recorded in 13 counties of West Virginia, including the Monongalia County. This insect is highly mobile and is likely to disperse throughout the state. So how do we tackle this issue? This insect is in early stage of invasion in West Virginia and requires early detection. My research aims to find these insects early to stop their spread in West Virginia. We performed spatial analysis of different factors responsible for their spread and obtained a risk map, like risk assessment using risk map, showing high risk areas and low risk areas can help us prioritize where and when to focus our efforts on spotted lanternfly management. But only risk assessment is not enough. We should also monitor these insects to find them early and for their early detection. Currently, there is no effective trapping methods for spotted lanternfly, and the pest managers are relying on finding tree of haven through ground surveys, which is a major host tree for the spotted lanternfly. Ground surveys to find these tiny insects can be time-consuming, and it is very difficult to reach in hard-to-access areas. This calls up for the use of modern technologies like drones, which are quick, fast, and economic. We developed an aerial survey protocol to find, detect, and map tree of haven using drones. So if we find tree of haven, we can easily find these insects. So addressing a very critical issue in the battle to protect our state against this invasive lanternflies. My research illuminates the use of modern technologies to find these insects early before they spread. If you see the spotted lanternfly, make sure to smack and kill it. Together, let's protect our state against this invasive threat.
It's my pleasure to introduce our next competitor, Paige Zalman, who grew up in Havelock, North Carolina, and is a classically trained percussionist. Paige also just defended her dissertation this morning, so congratulations to you. Paige's research title today is Exploring Music Major Mental Health Using Photo Voice and Narrative Inquiry. The advisor is Dr. Erin McHenry-Sober. Please welcome Paige.
Have you ever heard of the creativity mystique? The phrase describes the link between creativity and mental illness. And we've all heard the stories, right? The great Beethoven suffered from severe alcoholism that eventually killed him. And even Britney Spears shaved her head during a very public mental health crisis. But even when the element of fame is removed, past research has shown that college music majors still experience alarmingly high rates of mental illness, a key cause of college dropout. In fact, music majors are 10% more likely to suffer from conditions like anxiety than non-music majors, which might help explain why only 50% of music students successfully graduate, almost 15 percentage points lower than the average graduation rate. Given these statistics, my dissertation asks why music students are struggling with mental health so much more than their peers. I recruited 8 current music majors from multiple institutions to participate in a multi-stage research technique called photo voice, where over the course of a month, participants took photographs to represent their experiences with mental health based on predetermined prompts, such as how has your university helped or hindered your mental health? Participants then conducted a written analysis of their photographed images to represent their experiences with mental health both narratively and visually. After, we held several in-depth discussions about their photographs and written analyses through a series of focus groups and individual interviews. The findings were derived from themes that emerged during those conversations. The photographs on this slide highlight some common problems that participants experienced in college, including feelings of persistent hopelessness and stress overload. Interview findings found that these feelings were caused in part by frequent familial pressure to pursue a more lucrative career path. This study also found that music majors who experience mental health challenges tend to begin experiencing problems even before coming to college, highlighting the need for on-campus support at the start of freshman year through initiatives such as peer mentoring programs or specialized counseling services. By removing the mystery behind the creativity mystique, the hope is that we can implement solutions to prevent music majors from feeling like Britney Spears' song Toxic, and instead help them feel like Beethoven's Ode to Joy.
All right, everybody. So unfortunately, our last contestant, Tanner Hoffman, could not make it this evening. So we're actually on to our last contestant today, our 9th contestant, Saida Naima Verdos. Her nickname is Bipasha. Sorry, I'm missing. I can read, I swear. She hails from Bangladesh and she loves to travel and play with her 1-year-old son. She is under the advisement of Dr. Jin Lee in the program of computer engineering at the Benjamin Statler College of Engineering and Mineral Resources. And her research title today is Machine Learning for Sustainable Environment. Please give her a hand.
We find ourselves in an era where our planet is consistently sending us distress signals through climate change. The evidence is clear, and the impact is far-reaching. From the heat waves and wildfires impacting United States, where we are, to monsoon rains causing destructive flooding in my homeland, Bangladesh. Renewable energy stands as a beacon of light in our battle against climate change. Do you know that biomass is one of the key providers for renewable energy? So, what is biomass? Biomass is renewable organic matter like wood, forest residues, or crop residues, such as the leftover after crop harvesting. These crop residues can be used to generate energy. Interesting, isn't it? But there is a problem. Complete crop residue removal can degrade soil quality. So we need an optimized way, balancing the net generation of energy and preserving soil health. Imagine a world where we can harness the potential of biomass while maintaining the balance of our ecosystem. Previous research has shown that machine learning, a subset of artificial intelligence, can be used for sustainable biomass management. My project aims at developing a robust and efficient machine learning model for crop residue removal rate prediction, improving upon the performance of past work that has been done. This task is quite complex, as we need a model that can understand the intricate dynamics of different factors, such as topography, climate, and soil properties related to biomass production. In my work, I developed a machine learning model to predict crop residue removal rate, considering these diverse factors as inputs to the model. To develop a machine learning model, at first, we need to train it. The training is like learning something for the first time. Let's consider the scenario of learning how to ride a bike. First, you need information and training on riding a bike. As you begin to learn, you adjust your balance and pedal speed based on what you have learned before. Similarly, a machine learning model needs data to train on. Then it adjusts parameters to minimize errors and improve predictions. My developed model can predict crop residue removal rate with high accuracy that can help farmers and stakeholders to make informed decisions about cultivation practices, saving billions of dollars in the agriculture industry. With further research, we will pave the way for a greener and sustainable future. Thank you.
Another round of applause to all of our competitors. So while our judges finalize the scores, I invite our audience members as well as the competitors to please go cast your People's Choice Award votes at the back of the room. We've dedicated about 5 minutes for this, so please take the time to go back and cast your People's Choice Award votes, and we will invite you back to your seats right after. Yes, everybody only votes once. Thank you for clarification.
Hello? Did everybody get a chance to vote? Are we done?
Oh, there it goes. Okay. I was going to say mine suddenly turned itself off. All right, I would encourage everyone to please come back to your seats. We are not done for the evening. We have one more section before our winners are announced. So everyone, or well, our designated scoring people are backstage now in the office. They are tallying up the People's Choice vote, and they are tallying up our actual winners for the 3MT. So while that is happening, I would like to invite Dr. Jess Queener to the stage, who will then invite the finalists back on stage so we can have a little interviewing process about how the 3MT went. So please stay with us for a little while longer while all the scoring gets done.
Thank you, Danielle. If the panelists could come up and join me on the stage so everyone can get a good look at you.
Come all the way to me.
There's lots of you.
Mm-hmm. Squeeze together like you like each other. Okay. Yeah, so you don't have to do anything with it. That like has answer something, just pass the mic.
Thank you. Well, I wanted to mention that it is Graduate Student Appreciation Week this week, and we always do the 3MT finale during this time. And I think that really works out well because you obviously know how wonderful graduate students on our campus are, but it's just such a good opportunity to really hear about what they're doing and to really learn about how their research enhances our campus. So please join me in another round of applause for you all. And I do have some questions for you. Nothing too serious, but hopefully this gives you a chance to hear a little bit more about their process and to get to know them better. So I'd like to put a question to you all, and we'll share the microphone around to whomever would like to respond. But I think we'll start with what made you decide to enter the competition? What brought you here today? Jump right in. Yep. We got time. I don't think we're going to be too quick on the math, so.
Okay. So I think the moment we got the email, talking about the 3MT competition, I was really excited because it's like the chance you get to talk about your research to the rest of the community at WVU, right? And so that's what I was most excited about. And it's also like a great way to get to meet other people, and from different fields and learn what they're researching about. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I'm happy to participate in this event because I always looking to disseminate my research and also present my research in front of general public. So, but the most important point for me is we are as a graduate student, we always face a lot of pressure in our life. So this kind of events is kind of motivation, give me motivation to continue on in my research and do well.
Our graduate program director encouraged me to apply, and also personal growth because this is terrifying, but I wanted to do it anyway.
Yes, thank you to any mentors who encourage their students to do this. We appreciate that.
Yeah, similar with Kenzie, my advisor advised me to apply, but also it was a good challenge, right? How are you gonna narrow down your dissertation, your research in under 3 minutes? So for me, it was a good challenge to kind of put myself up for.
I think for me, this type of thing, I think about educators, and some of the best educators can take stuff that's really complex and make it very, very simple. And I think educators do a really good job of that, but scientists maybe not so much. And I think as future scientists that we always need to work on being able to communicate our science to the public. And so I take every chance I get to talk in front of people and makes stuff that's really hard sound really easy.
I think it's really difficult to explain a complex idea simply, and this gave me a chance to put that into practice because I can't do anything with my research if I can't communicate effectively with everybody that's going to hopefully use it. And this gave me an opportunity to kind of boil everything down into a 3-minute talk on it.
The research that all of us are doing is the interest of not only the research community that we are working for, but like it is the interest of the common people as well. So when you reach out the things that you are doing to the common people, the people can know like what are the researchers are doing, like how it is applicable to their common life as well. So I thought like it is a very good opportunity to present my research and explain to the people what are the things that the people at the WCU are doing and why is it important to the common people as well. And even the prizes for the 3MT, they were like very
Yeah.
attractive as well.
Someone, okay, it took till the end of the line to mention that there's prize money at stake. So you're all very virtuous. Good job.
I am a really big believer in the importance of research communication, like some of my peers up here. And so I, echo their sentiments in terms of why I wanted to pursue this competition. But also, my degree program is the PhD in higher education, and it was unfortunately one of the programs that was cut during the academic transformation. And so just for me personally, I felt it was really important to be able to highlight the very important research that that program and its students have done and are continuing to do, and the need that there is for continued scholarship on higher education so that we can empower our students to be more successful.
I'm always passionate about sharing my research with others. So as a graduate research assistant, I participated in several conferences where I shared my research with people, those who are specialized in my domain. But here I'm getting the opportunity to share my research with a wider audience. And I also believe that this platform is giving us the opportunity to grow as a communicator. So that's the reason I participated in this competition.
Thank you. Oh, hang on to that mic because we'll come back the other way. But my next question, a couple of you mentioned this already, that there were challenges about this, but tell me what you each thought was maybe the hardest challenge for you in preparing for this.
So I think condensing my research into 3 minutes, that is the biggest challenge I faced while participating and in this competition. I have been doing my research for years, so what to include and what not to include in my presentation, that was one of the biggest challenges I faced. And obviously, as a non-native speaker, we have our hurdles of choosing the right word to express ourselves. So those are the challenges I faced.
I think for me as a qualitative researcher, I found it especially challenging to communicate my research effectively, simply because, they're in science, people tend to be talking about machine learning methods, right? And statistics and all of these awesome things that my colleagues described. But there's a lot of times less emphasis on things like interviews and photo voice and narrative inquiry and these text-based methodologies. And so it was exciting, but also very challenging to try to be able to put some of that into only 3 minutes.
So I think like all of the participants over here like have the same feeling about this competition, like having to do the research for 3 years and condense into 3 minutes. So that's the challenge I feel all of us are facing before the competition starts. And the other challenge is like while you are doing your research, like you understand your research so well, so you feel like the terminology that you use is so common, but when you present it to a research community, even they understand it. But when you are presenting it to the people from the other research communities or to the general people, like it is very difficult to use those words and make them understand. So to simplify the research works that we have been doing and explain it in a very simplified way inside a 3 minute, I think that was the most challenging thing.
For me, it was a simplification of everything. You heard me say when I was describing the components of the membrane, it was a polymer, which is a plastic. I described it that way because the first iteration of this, I said polymer or plastic. And then I got some feedback from some people that weren't doing PhD level research. And they asked me, which was it, a polymer or the plastic that was going in there? And I realized that they weren't quite catching that it was the same thing in the definition. So I had to change that around.
Brevity.
Not anymore.
Yeah, 3 minutes. I mean, what?
Isn't there one where you get 1 minute? 1 minute? Yeah, we did triple that, so. Next year.
Yeah, biggest challenge for me personally is just like performance anxiety and just dealing with that. So I'm glad I did it.
Yeah.
You'd never know. You'd never know.
So for me, like English is my second language, so it was always challenging, like to simplify or use convert the scientific words to be like common for everybody here. So yeah, so and the time also 3 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Please.
I think the most, the hardest part for me was, because I think you're so far deep down in your research, I'm thinking about, oh my God, I need to put all these points, and I have to bring all of this down. I have to mention everything in 3 minutes, and that's not going to work, right? And then it kind of forced me to think about, hey, what are my priorities? Like, what are the most important, like, key takeaways that I need my audience, to understand, like, and so I think that was the hardest part for me, not to include everything I want to talk about.
Understandable. So if we can maybe think a little more globally, we've talked about the challenges and what kind of brought you here today. What do you think you'll be taking with you? What have you learned from participating in the competition?
I think the best part about being a participant in this competition was getting to coach with Dr. May. She's a fantastic coach, and she would always ask me like the right kind of questions to get me thinking about what is the context, who are my audience, and how do I make sure I talk about the topic, or how is it relevant to, how do I just communicate my research to the audience, and try to simplify things so they can understand it more easily.
Yeah, so one of the things, like present my research in front of a large number of audience. At the same time, I'm lucky because my advisor is here, Dr. Kevin Orner, and one of the committee member, Dr. Oshi Sanyal, also she's here, so they support me a lot. At the same time, I think the most things I learn, I get like two experience, one as a presenter and the other one as one of the audience public. So I listen to the other, I get to know about the other presentation and research, which is so good.
I think that's my favorite part too. Not to tip the scales for anyone else, but.
I think my key takeaway from this is that most people want you to succeed, and generally you can take their advice or at least consider it because they probably have your best interests at heart. And that mainly I'm talking about Dr. May.
I know when she gets back, we'll have to do a round of applause. She's not in here, but Dr. May is very responsible for this evening and has worked with all of our competitors prior to today. So if we see her, we'll just freak out.
Yeah, I think for me also just the whole process of it, like, the 3-4 weeks that led up to this, it really forced me to really think about what I'm doing and how best to disseminate that same information in very simple language, but also under 3 minutes. I think that whole journey, I think for me was really, really good for me.
Amazing.
I think that being a graduate student is really hard, and sometimes doing things like this remind you why you do it in the first place. So when you spend so many hours and tears and trials and only 15% of the things that you try work, and it's very frustrating, people listen to you talk about your research in an excited way, and they're excited too. And that really honestly makes it that much worth it. And so I'll leave here with a little bit more confidence and a little bit more happiness about spending so many years of my life doing this.
$1,000.
I feel like I'm going to be repetitive again because like when you're at the back end of the holding a mic, like most of the answers already come in. But like my advisor says that like in the life, like there are so many decisions that you have to take. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. And every good or the bad decisions leads you the opportunity to learn. So like applying for this, I feel like a very good decision because throughout the whole process, like there were so many things that we learned, not only me, I think all the finalists relate to it, like starting from how to express your research to the common people, like coming in front of the stage and speaking, public speaking and all those things. And I think like all of these are a very important part, which I'll be using in the future as well. And the most important thing that I found is like whenever I go to other conferences or I hear the people from the other field presenting, it is so difficult for me to understand. But like when I was over here today, like hearing all of my fellow participants like presenting their research, I feel like I can understand the research that is happening in the other field as well. So they are also dealing with the issues that is very important to the other people. So I found that like there are ways to present your research so that all the common people can understand it very well.
I don't think I have anything to add.
That's also an option to say. I guess I could have told you all that sooner.
So yeah, for me, similar to others, I think I figured out how to articulate a complex concept in a simpler form. And yeah, the lessons that I got from Dr. May, that really helped me. And I think I can use those in future. Yeah.
Well, I have one more question to put to the panel, and then it's time to move on to what we'll call the main event. So we won't make you keep yourselves from learning that news too long. But if you could share with us one last thing, something you wish people knew about your field and what you do.
Yeah, so I work on applying machine learning for ensuring environmental sustainability. So I would like people to know that machine learning has the capability to fight for climate change, and machine learning can analyze vast amounts of data. And with this predictive model, you can do anything, like you can predict future environmental changes such as deforestation and earthquakes, etc. So this is really important.
Going off of that excellent description about the importance of methods, I think the thing that I'd like to share is just that qualitative methods tend to, not be as highlighted as frequently as quantitative methods, but there are really important things that qualitative methodologies can contribute to science and to all fields. And, quantitative methods can sort of tell us the nature of a problem and that it's a very widespread problem, but we really need qualitative methods to actually understand that lived reality. And so I'm really happy to sort of be somebody in that area who can try to help convey some of those nuances that the statistics can't necessarily get.
Whenever people see the drones are flying, they feel like it's used only for the entertainment or taking photos, but they are also used in the research, like where we try to tackle the very great issues and like used in for the betterment of the environment or protect our nature or different purposes. And apart from that, like whenever people hear about the insects, sometimes they feel like it's bad. Even when I presented today, I asked the people to smack and kill it. But there are very beneficial insects like honeybees and the pollinators, which are very important for the pollination and the survival of the human beings. So I'd like the people to know that insects are very beneficial and useful for the human survival.
But not the lanternfly. Smack it.
So I do membrane research, if you couldn't tell from my presentation. And those membranes have only been around since the 1960s. So when you ask me what do I wish people knew about my research, my answer is anything. because my advisor just got here 4 years ago. And if you talked about membranes in the chemical engineering department, there wasn't a lot of knowledge for there. And I still kind of run into that even when I'm walking around the halls of the chemical engineering department. So it's really just any knowledge whatsoever.
I think two things from my research. First, when you think about cancer treatment, so if someone in the lab like discovers something new, it's going to take a decade before you actually see that in people. And that is a really long time, especially for people who currently have cancer. And I think COVID actually helped kind of drive like these fast track programs now through the FDA, but really until that happened, it takes a decade. So when you're thinking about getting treatment for things, like remind yourself that like the scientists really do care and we're thinking that far in advance to try to help people. The second thing is that when you think of solid tumors, at least when I first started research, you always think like big tumors bad. I don't want tumors to keep growing. Or I studied breast cancer, and so you think, oh, I got a breast cancer, I'll just take it off and then it's gone. But how tumors grow really matters. And so you can imagine if you're in a room and they cut off all the oxygen supply, would you just sit there and go to sleep? No, you would try to break away. And tumors are like this too. They adapt, and the worst ones can break away and go elsewhere. So I think that sometimes when people see really big tumors, then they're thinking that's worse, but small tumors can be just as bad.
I think for me, nature-based solutions. I think nature has figured a way of working really well, and a lot of the work is circular. We don't necessarily need to have crazy complex systems to help our lives be better. Sometimes we just need to look into nature and see how that works and just try and mimic that or adapt that.
The soil is alive and complicated, but treated well.
Oh.
Yeah, for me, I just want to increase the awareness of the risk that comes from organic waste. Organic waste always negatively impact the surface water bodies and also kind of risk on water recreation. In the United States, as example, eutrophication affect 50 to 80% of fresh ecosystem, and with the economic impact with $2.2 billion every year. So my research is focused on organic waste management practices like anaerobic digestion and central-vital precipitation that's able to convert these organic waste to energy like biogas. We can use it for heating, and fertilizers that can we use it for agriculture. Thank you.
I just want to take this opportunity to talk about how hard the lives are for healthcare workers. The things that I've learned over the past 3 years, it really shines a light on the mental health effects, the physical health effects, the emotional effects that they experience, the lengths that they go through for providing care for their patients. And I have a lot of respect for what they do, and what I've learned is that a lot of the problems that they experience, they do have solutions, and these solutions are, a lot of the times, I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them, if you make a very small change to the way they perform a task, or a small change in the design of the equipment that they use, or a very small change in, the system that's established to, take care of them, it could impact their health in a very drastic way, in a positive way. And so that's what I want to encourage more people to come into this field and, work on these problems and create more solutions for our healthcare workers. Thank you.
Thank you all. I think I can speak for everyone in attendance now. I just want to take a moment to say we are so proud of all of you. Thank you for being here. You give us so much hope. We're so happy that you're here today. And I would like to bring up now Dr. May, whom we are also owed a big debt of gratitude today. Thank you so much, Dr. May.
Thank you. I would ask that you stay
on stage. Thank you, Dr. Queener. I've been so busy the last month coaching these finalists that I've forgotten to write my thank you remarks for this evening. So before I forget anything else, I would like to thank all of our wonderful team, our staff, Dr. Thomas, Dr. Queener, Michael and Stump, Vicky is in the back. She's not going to show yet. Vicky, and also our graduate assistant, Winda, standing in the back, and also Katie, who won't be here tonight. She's our key communicator. I also like to thank all of our wonderful judges. Many of them are doing it for the first time. I hope you've enjoyed the process. Thank you so much for your time, for taking time to come out and help us through this process. And of course, our beautiful Danielle, and also our handsome Sindupa, our 2022 and 2023 3MT winner here. And Sindupa just received a second place winning at our regional conference in South Carolina. Yeah, it was not an easy competition because you were competing with all the 3MT winners from all over our southern region. So there were over 60 competitors at that conference. All right, did I forget anyone else? Of course, I have to thank these 10 or 9. 10 I couldn't make it tonight, but all these 9 wonderful people. It was nice getting to know you, and you've taught me many things, including PFOA. All right, so first I would like to invite Dr. Thomas to come up and present these certificates. And these are not prizes, okay? These are just certificates. So they are in no particular order, but so Dr. Thomas. Okay. Haydar, yeah. Yeah, that way, so the okay. Nima Furtis. Nima. Yeah. Brian Leonard. Yeah. Kusho Nahaki. Perfect. Kinsey Reed. Dennis Rudo. Kayla Steinberger. Bashaki Sharish. Paige Salmon. All right, Dr. Thomas, will you stay? And I'm gonna ask Vicky to come too. This is the most exciting moment of the evening, right? Yeah, let me hear that drum roll. So I'm going to announce our 3rd place winner. Our 3rd place winner is Vashaki Sharesh. Okay, keep it. We're gonna take pictures later too with those, okay? Yeah. Our 2nd place winner this evening is Kayla Steinberger. This is the first for me I've been involved in this competition since 2018, and this had never happened. So that's why I had to ask my boss to go into the back office so we could discuss this. We have a tie for the first place. So both of them will be our winner, and they will receive the $1,000 prize. They are Dennis Rudo and Paige Salmon. Come. We have both of your name. We have both of your name there. Yeah. Congratulations. Yes. Yeah. There's one more prize. The People's Choice Award. You voted. And the winner goes to Paige Salmon. Okay, and photographer, we would like a group picture of our contestants and also Dr. Queener and Dr. Thomas and myself later. But we will have a reception once those dividers open. I think they're opening it now. So there's a reception over there, and we would like for us to take a group picture. Thank you so much for attending this exciting event. We look forward to it every year, so I hope you'll come back next year. All right, thank you. I'll see you over there. Okay, Dr. Queener.
Do you want them up here? Do you want them down there? Down there for lighting?